Hello, hello! Welcome back to Stories and Stitches! I'm Jada. I'm gonna stitch up a little birdie today. So, hello Ms. Rabbit. I know you sort of mentioned a cupcake. I have that on the list, but I'm trying to do this thing now where if I have an idea and I put it on the list, I actually get to it. I jump around from project to project far too much, and if there's something that I really want to make, but I put it on the shelf because I decide to do something else, then I feel like that interrupts my creative flow. So I still want to do a cupcake, but I think I want to do the birdie because I was picturing a little bird. And I'm also trying to do things in order of what I feel might be upping the challenge to making these little beaded appliques. And also I'm trying to use up all the beads I have. And in my head, I was picturing a little bluebird. I dove into the beads to see if I had enough blues because I've made the strawberry, the heart, and the mushroom, and I had lots of red and white. I still have a lot of red and white beads. So those really were, like, that was great. I had the right colors for those, but I wasn't sure if I had enough blue. Turns out I have a lot of blue, so that's great. I'm gonna do the bluebird today. Let's go down to the craft table and take a look at the beads I've got. I've got not just the beads here, I've got all of my previous beaded applique attempts for inspiration. I've got my needles, thread, I've got a little bit of blue felt, a pair of scissors. I'm going to draw the bird as usual, and then I figured I would kind of decide which beads I've got. So one of the things that I noticed when I was doing these previous appliques was that when I did the framework, because they say draw it, frame it, I was using these larger plastic beads, and so I've got sort of the larger plastic beads around the upper part of the mushroom. I have them all the way around the heart, so I used it to frame the entire heart. I mean, obviously, I really like the way the beading turned out on this one. And then I did the same thing with the strawberry. So I did the base of the strawberry, so the red part with the bigger beads, and the green topper was kind of like on the mushroom. The stem was sort of the afterthought, not the afterthought, but the stem was the lesser of the attention grabbing part of it. More attention needed to be on the upper part of the mushroom. More attention needed to be on the berry part of the strawberry. That's what I'm trying to say. So I like the way those big plastic red beads did their job for the framing. And I'm going to try and get the same effect, I hope, with the same sized beads, because I have blue ones. They're darker blue, but I think I can make it work. So let's try it. Okay, all right. So, Ms. Rabbit. All right, let's do this. So these are the little beads. These are the beads, so it's the same bead as the red one, but I've got blue. So I was going to just pull out some of these and put them in my little tray. And we've got I thought it was going to be sunny today. It's overcast. That's okay. But once again, it's February and I'm kind of racing against the light. So I'm going to try and get myself going with a handful of these little beads. Into my tray, I think, and I don't want to make it too big. I want to make it big enough that I can put a little wing on it. Like I can bead a little. I want a wing to be a detail piece, and I think I might frame the wing with these, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to sketch it out, literally sketch it out, and then I'm gonna decide on which blue. I also have these. These might be a little too big and a little too elongated, but I pulled them out just to be on the safe side. All right, so let's put these guys aside for a second. What I want to do is draw myself out a little birdie. I'm being super stingy about how I use my felt here. This might be a good size down here. So let's just snip off a few little pieces. I might be able to stick it in there. Okay. So these are the beads. They're pretty big. So what I'm going to do is, hi baby, Penny's at my feet. She's such a sweetheart. I'm going to just sort of kind of almost draw it with the beads first to get an idea of how big I need to make this, and also maybe how many beads I'm going to need. Because I don't need the head to be gigantic. Oh, I'm going to have to make the beak a slightly different color, aren't I? I want a rounded, a little tail and a little thing, and then I want to be able to make a little, I can always outline the wing with a slightly different color and only use that for an outline of the wing. Yeah, I think so. I think this will be the outline of the whole bird. And then I will outline the wing with its own select set of beads. And I've got all these lovely kind of lighter blue beads to just sort of fill in the rest. I've got a little white. I do have, I can make a little beak. Yeah, I even have some pretty blue ones in here. I wonder if I should, don't have a whole lot of blue in here, but I would like to use them up. I need a tray. Oh, I'll use this. There's always a little plastic tray when you need it. Yes, March 20th is spring. We are almost there. I am really looking forward to it. Okay, let's not make this bounce. There we go. Okay. So, all right, I think that's all. This is just some black beads. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I think I'll use this upright. Just going to dump these in here. And then I can pull out the blue ones. So anything that's blue, I will pull out and put in here. Some of these have got like blue and white. Some of them are just blue. I've got little hearts. I might use these. I might not. Hi, sweetie. Hi, baby. Hi. I don't want to pick you up just yet because I've got too many little tiny parts moving up here. I'll scratch your head. Yes. Yes. Lick me. Thank you very much. These are more little beads from like 40 years ago. I've had these. This is circa Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, Cabbage Patch Kid, all the OG versions of those toys. This is that same era. This all came from some little necklace or bracelet set that I had that kind of fell apart, but that I loved to pieces when I was really little, so I kept the beads. All right, I think I have most of the blue ones out. That's a nice little assortment of blue. That's kind of green. Oh, there's a big blue one. I may or may not use that. Okay, let's put this guy aside. I'll clean that up a little later. Okay. Well, hello everyone. If you're just joining us, hi Marlene, Mr. InStitches, Ms. Rabbit. So nice to see your faces, your virtual faces here. I'm going to make a beaded birdie. A beaded birdie today. I want to make a little bluebird to add to my pretty little collection of beaded appliques. I've got a handful of them here. And they're just sort of sitting up here. I'll show you guys again a little bit later on what they look like. But right now I want to sketch out the bird. I like the other ones. I don't want it to be too big. So like this would maybe be the bottom of its belly. This might be the edge of its tail. Maybe its little beak over here. And then maybe like its little head. If you don't draw much, I find sometimes literally making a little dotted line, like this is going to sound funny, but don't look actually at what you're drawing. Kind of look through it, make your vision a little blurry, and just sort of dot the general idea of what you think it should look like, and then you can kind of fill in the lines a little later on. You can kind of choose which line you think makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't even know if that makes sense. Makes sense to me. That's what I'm doing. So, so for example, I kind of like this line here, and I like that line there. I like the little bunty beak, maybe a slightly smaller head, a little more body back here, kind of arcs into the tail. And then I definitely want to give it a wing. So I'm gonna make sure that there's like a little point to the wing. So this is like a detail inside the overall shape, which is new again. Once again, I'm adding, so the details previously, and I'll just sort of tell you what I'm, so first attempt was the mushroom, and the only real details I did to it were the little polka dots, or the white dots on the mushroom cap. So that was just me randomly putting in a couple of beads and then filling in beadwork around it. Then I went on to the heart. There was no intricate design, detail, extra stuff. I just framed it. I filled in the inside following the framework. And that was really easy. I just got to kind of play with different bead shapes and sizes and stuff. And then I upped it to the strawberry. So I had a design. I had a extra design on top of the original strawberry. So there's the strawberry, then there was the green leaf topper, and these both had to be done separately. And then there was just sort of like some seeds that I added to the strawberry. So that was kind of increasing the challenge a little bit. Now with the bird, I'm going to be putting the wing inside the overall design. So I have to do that. I have to frame the bird, and then I want to frame the wing somehow and then fill in around that. I also have to put in an eye and a beak. So a few extra details on this one, just increasing incrementally the challenge of making these little beaded things. So far, I'm liking how they've been working out. So let's keep going here. I'm just going to cut around the bird. I don't need to cut the whole thing out. I think I'll wait to trim it. I'll wait to trim the whole thing down until a little later. That will give me just a little bit more to sort of hold on to while I'm beading, because this is a slightly more complicated sort of design. Okay, so I think I'm going to need a few more of these, so I'm just going to put a few more in here, and here, here, and here, and here. There, if I need any more, I got those there. And okay, I'm going to use blue thread today. I'm going to get my little beading needle off. So that's got a little bit of red thread left on it. I'll put that aside and use it later. And I don't need that right now. I might use those. I think they're too big. I think they're too big. So let's give ourselves a nice line of blue thread. And off we go. I'm going to start with the overall bird frame, which should be relatively easy. There's a little point. I might start at the point of the tail, just because that's kind of the part that will probably give me the most. If any part in the framing is going to give me trouble, it'll be the little bit of the tail. So we'll start there. I just saw your comment. If I'd send photos of the sunshine, but I don't know if that would be more depressing. You know what? I'm just going to play a little bit of Hello Kitty Tropical Island later on, and that'll be enough for me. That'll be like, that'll be a little bit of vacation. I guess because Animal Crossing will be in winter too right now, and if I don't want to look at winter. I want to look at something tropical, like I'm on vacation. So I guess you could go on vacation to an island in Animal Crossing, but I like my little Hello Kitty world. It's really cute. Okay, here we go. I think I can start with, I think I was doing 2 of these at a time. I think 3 might be too many because it's kind of a larger bead. So I'm going to stick to 2, and we'll just see where we get to. This is going to be these are bigger beads, but I really like how they wound up looking. I was unsure when I started using them on the mushroom, and I loved how the mushroom turned out. Then I tried again with the heart, and I was unsure with the heart. I was unsure with the strawberry, and every single time so far, I've appreciated the largeness of the beads in the actual frame. So here we go. Try number 4. I think I need to. There's little tiny sort of like, what's the word? When I was talking about kind of points when I did the strawberry, there was like in the heart there was a point at the bottom of the heart, and then there was a point in the middle of the cleft. There's like little cleft points all over the place with the bird. So I'm going to do my best to follow along the line. I think I want to come out there. Maybe I'll come under here. I'm also, every single time I want to kind of, I'm repositioning the angle at which my thread kind of comes out every once in a while. And I feel like that helps the trajectory of the beads. That could be in my head, but I'm going to go with it. And then the nice thing too about using the bigger beads in this on the smaller canvas is that you kind of get through the framing quickly. I don't think this is much bigger than the other ones I've done. Those are old. Yes, those are old beads, rabbits. They are old. From a much, I want to say a more innocent time, but I mean, I feel like everybody says that about their childhood. Was it really? I don't know. It was for if you were a kid, but maybe not if you were an adult. Another thing too I've learned doing this is that sometimes if you're unsure of like the placement of a frame bead, you can kind of shove it into position when you're filling in the inside with the other little beads. That often helps. It just sort of helps kind of push something. If that was maybe wants to float a little bit, it'll finally position itself more accurately when you fill in all the little filler beads. I'm going to come out here. Gee, this blue thread is almost exactly the same color as the felt. That was a happy accident. soon as I get the frame beaded out, I'll show you the progress with a little bit more of a close-up angle. And then I'm going to go right past the beak because I'm going to put the beak on. The beak sits outside the regular frame. And I'll use some kind of, I'm going to try and use smaller yellow beads for the beak. I'd like that to look a little more fine and small, since I kind of picture little, if a bird is fluffy, then its beak is much, the beak looks so much smaller. So the more a bird fluffs itself up, the smaller and cuter the beak looks. I say that as somebody who watches the birds who live here all year round go from being kind of slender looking in the spring and summer to looking super fluffy in the winter when they've sort of fluffed themselves up to stay warm. I'm thinking specifically about our chickadees. They're so cute. I think I've got the right colors to make a cupcake. I think if this works out the way I think it's going to, I feel I'll have improved my skills enough to tackle the little cupcake that I see in my head. And I think I've got the right colors for a cupcake. Obviously, I'm thinking like pink frosting and like a little, I'm not sure what color to make the little cake paper, but I think I've got the right, I should have the right, it's just the framing beads. I'm going to have to look to see what I've got. Ms. Rabbit, tea in hand. I think it will work on the MMAM blanket while you beat up an adorable bird. And there's even a blue bird emoji. How perfect. Yes. A little crafting with friends. That is what we're up to here. I am fleshing out my little collection of beaded appliques. And it's a learning journey for me. I've never done this before. The only real beading I've done in the past was making jewelry, which is very different because you're kind of looking at the beads as a linear individual thing. They're being strung or they're being placed on wires. But this is sort of looking at the beads as a collective, like they're almost a symphony, an entire orchestra, as opposed to sort of a soloist. Does that make sense? I think when you're making jewelry, beads act as a soloist. When you're making a beaded applique, they act like they're parts of an entire orchestra. That's kind of how it seems in my head. And I will definitely want a cup of tea later too. That sounds delightful. I think I can get two. Oh, this is going to work out. What? Let me do that, and then I'll go down here. So I'm going to go right through that last bead. Did I leave myself enough thread to knot off with? I got to go all the way back. That worked out. All right, so just enough to knot my thread off, and then I will show you the progress. So I've got the main frame is done. Wow, that worked out. Color me happy. Okay, needle is sitting on the tray. Let's take a look at, so happy. All right, I'm gonna try not to bounce around. So that's the frame. You can see where I've inked in the wing and the little beak. And the whole head and body, so like if I kind of, it's probably going to sit more like this, but the head, there's a little kind of a rise to the back. Now I can kind of scooch those around a little bit as I'm filling in the interior. Then there's the little tail, and then I'm going to frame in the wing now next. Yeah, like I've even just sort of squished the head around. I can make it stay in a more rounded position when I put in those filler beads. So that's the frame. Bluebird frame beaded, check. Now I'm going to do the wing, and I'm going to do the wing with dark beads, but sort of, I think because I have a lot of these ones, these are really just a nice glass, medium sized little bead. I should have enough to frame in the whole wing. And then maybe just so that the wing stands out, I won't use these anywhere else in the bird. Yes, I think I'm going to try that and see how that goes. Okay, so a little more blue, if you please. All right, well, at least I'm making sense to someone. Thank you, Jessica. There we go. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to start at the little back point, and I'm going to use these smaller but equally kind of darker blue beads. I'm going to frame in the wing, and then I will not use those beads anywhere else so that the wing stands out. If I have enough, I might see these are nice and dark too, and they're smaller. I wonder if I should just make the whole thinking on my feet here, thinking on my feet. I think is that I can't stop my brain from racing ahead. I should really just focus on, I made a decision. I'm going to frame in the wing with these darker but smaller beads. I should just do that and stop my brain from racing ahead to the next part. Beading is about patience and a little bit of self-discipline, I've discovered. All things I need to work on. Oh, you're on the June seashell stitch, which is 2 blues. Oh, I really like that one. That one goes fast. I mean, they all go fast, hence it's mile a minute, but very, very satisfying. Okay. There we go. If you figure out how to get your brain to cooperate, can you teach me? You know what? If I can figure out how to get brains to cooperate with personal desires, I will write a book. I feel like that would be handy for a lot of people. So I was tempted to do 3 beads at a time because these are a little smaller, but I'm really glad that I'm only doing 2 because I feel like it's giving me a little more control. As I stitch around this particular outline. Yeah, and you know what? As soon as I can just, this is why I have to say to my brain, it's okay. You don't have to race ahead. Just enjoy the process, let it unfold, and then make a decision once you see you're closer to the sort of the end of step 2. Well, right away, I can see that I want to pause the beating of the main bird and go ahead and do its beak. I want to focus on its tiny little yellow beak and get that finished because right away I feel like it would help me see the whole bird in a better light. Does that make sense? I'm going to go right to there. Okay. And then yes, yes, yes. Okay. I'm not going to lock that off. I might fill it in with these beads and then just a few little ones so that the wing is a separate color and then the rest of the bird is like, you know, other interesting blues. Before I get to that though, let me just give you a quick close up on, so my needle is still attached. There, framed in the wing. I'm gonna make sure that's on. So you can sort of see that there's the little beak too, is like over here. I'm gonna do the beak. I'm gonna see if I can find the tiniest little yellow beads. I have some decent sized little yellow beads. I might have some tiny ones again in that little collection of 40-year-old beads that I've got. So that's framing. It's coming along nicely. But do you see how now I feel like I want to do the little beak just so that the beak is done, and I feel like that will make the rest of the bird. I don't know. Lost for words. The little birdie has taken my words away. Let's find some nice little yellow. You would buy. Thank you. It is fun to watch the bird come to life, Marlene. I agree. It's like you know, literally from beads and felt, some different thing emerges. It is so fascinating. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get some of the tiniest little beads. I might need this needle though because it's my tiny one. So I will knot this off. I was kind of hoping to just continue beading with this, but I can come back to it. There's nothing wrong with that. So I will knot that off, put this blue thread aside. I've got white thread that I'm going to use to do the beak, and that is over here. There we go. I just don't know if I want it. This is I think this is one of my little tiny beading needles. I might have even smaller ones, but I will have to go digging for them. Is there a knot? Oh, there's a knot. I wonder it wouldn't go through. Tiny little knot in my thread. That's okay. I should still have more than enough here to do the little tiny beak. So normally I would frame in something like a detail, but since it's such a small thing, I may only be able to get like 1 or 2 or possibly 3 little beads. There we go. Okay, so before I do any sewing, I've got this itty bitty little yellow bead, which is a nice yellow, and I have another itty bitty little yellow bead over here. And that's a nice wide one. I also have these long ones. Do I have two of those? That might be perfect. Oh my gosh. Ooh, what's this? Is that too? No, I don't like the line in that. I do like this. And, oh, I have a second one. No way. And then maybe a little yellow one in the middle? Maybe both those little yellow ones? Oh my gosh. Okay, all right, all right. You may be able to see what I'm doing, you may not. I have these, happy accident, I have these longer yellow beads, which I think I will frame in the actual beak shape with. Let's see how that works. I think I will put the darker one on top or the lighter one on top. What does that usually look like in the wild? I guess it doesn't really matter. That one. Oh my goodness. Do I even need the second one? Is that overkill? No. Yes, it's like doing the outside of the puzzle. That's exactly what it's like. You do the outside of the puzzle, you do the frame, and then the rest of it just kind of starts to make sense. Absolutely accurate. Is that at the right trajectory? I think that's too far. I think I can do one, maybe two little beads in here. Is that too big? Yeah, that's too big. Oh, do I have one other little tiny one? I think that one's too big. Maybe I should have done, yeah, that's too big. Oh, I do. I've got exactly what I need. What are the odds? Seriously, what are the odds? What? It's even skinny. This is not a good argument against hoarding. I've been keeping these beads forever. All right, is that maybe if I did that there? All right, before I knot this off, opinions, please. Opinions, please. So, I've got these two longer beads that kind of act like the top and bottom beak parts. Bill, beak, beak. A bill is on a waterfowl. This is not a waterfowl. So beak, beak top, beak bottom. And then I just had a couple of little filler beads. Does that look like he's chewing on something, or does that just look like I've kind of filled in the framing? I can't really decide. I feel like, oh, this is getting a little bright. That little, there, I'm going to hold it just so it doesn't get completely bleached out by all the light. That little, I don't know, I think it almost looks like his mouth is open, like he's in mid-chirp. Does that kind of make sense? I think, is the beak done? I think the beak might be done. It's such a tiny little, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to keep it from getting too blared out by the light. It's such a tiny little detail. I'm trying, it's kind of tricky. Like I didn't have a whole bunch of tiny little beads, but I do like the shaping that those longer kind of oval beads give it. It looks rounded like a beak. That's the theory anyway. He looks like he could be eating. Yeah, Marlene, I think so. It looks like birdseed. Yeah, you know what? I think I like it. I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it like that. It looks like a beak. It looks like he maybe is like kind of talking. I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, so I like that. I'm gonna knot that off. And then I'm gonna go back to maybe filling in the wing. Yes. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna move those out of the way. There we go, and I can put that white aside, get my blue back. Where did that blue go? There it is. Okay. I'm gonna finish, I think I'm gonna fill in his wing, and then I'm gonna put in his eye. And I think if I stick with the darker colors for the wing, could I get away with these? Probably. Especially if I only use those in here. No, I'm not gonna do that. I think I'm gonna leave that shape for the wing, or for the beak. That makes it sort of special. So I've got these little guys. And I'm going to use some of those in there alongside the bigger ones. So I'm going to start right back here in the corner, a little tiny point. Oops. Yeah. One of these. Oh, right off the bat, that one doesn't want to go. Okay. There we go. And then, now I think I might be able to get away with doing 3 at a time since I'm using some smaller beads. Wow, these are really tiny. That one doesn't want to go either. What about you? Yep, you'll go. So much like I did the heart, I'm just going to continue this to sort of mirror the outside frame with the inside beading. I think I'm going to stick to mostly the larger beads, unless I need to fill in some little spaces. Just the odd little one. These are so small they don't even want to go over my needle. Oh, nope, that one worked. Yay! feels like good coverage. So that's the wing. Now I'm going to finish, I'm going to put in the eye. I've got just a simple black bead for that. It feels like it should be done one more time. There we go. Okay. So that, I don't think I need these anymore because I've got lighter blue beads, which I'm going to use. So I'm going to put these aside for now. I'll bundle all that up later. And let's do an eye. So I've got, gee, you know, this is unique. That makes it look almost like a Mayan bird. But I don't think I want to draw attention to the eye necessarily. So just a plain black bead. Nothing too big. Birds don't have gigantic eyes anyway. That'll do. So I will place that right in the side of his face. And I think I'll stitch it down a couple times. And then I will start filling in around the eye. So let's do a little progress report here. So here we go. I've got the wing is fully completed, so fully filled in. The beak is done. I've put in an eye. His little body's completely framed. Now I just want to fill in the body, and I've got nice kind of like baby blue opaque beads in a couple different sizes to do that with. So that's he's going to be a blue bird, mostly baby blue, and that way the wing will really stand out. I think that was the right choice. Don't really know what I'm doing until I get into it, which is a lot of the fun here. So now I've got to move some beads around, so let's do that. Thank you, ladies. Marlene and Jessica both like it's cute. I do too. I'm looking forward to then deciding what to do with these things down the road. Okay, so I've got these. I will put these guys here, and I'll just put that to the side. I've also got these lovely things. I got this bead kit at the dollar store like an eon ago, and it's been just lovely. I also have these beads, which are kind of like a gray blue, which are really pretty. I think I'll use some of them as well. They're a little shiny. So I've got mostly baby blue. These are lovely, 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 lovely. And then I've got these little tiny baby blues. So that's what I'm going to use. And then I might use the odd little gray blue one. I'm not going to use these after all. Okay, I'm going to fill in up here. So, where's a good place to start? Right up at the top of the head, maybe between these two beads. Let's start up here. Okay. We'll do some big beads. I might kind of follow the frame, the inside of the frame for a moment or two. I'm almost out of this thread anyway. I'm going to have to... Is doing 3 too many? No, I don't think so. All right, I've got to knot this off, or I'm not going to have enough to knot with. just barely. Make sure that's nice and snug. Okay. And they feel a little loose, so I'll probably do a little beading in and around that. That's what the smaller beads are for. Every time you do a little bit of this, like I've found, you know, I mean, it's like anything else. You do a little bit, you get a little bit of confidence, but more importantly, it's like your fingers kind of get familiar with the routine. They're like, oh yeah, you want to put that there. Or this feels good if you put it over there. It's so I'm just following along with the established framework. For starters, there we go. Should put in a little. I'll come back. I'll come back. No, I will put in a little one. Sometimes getting around the curvature of the larger beads requires the little ones. So I might, I don't think I'm gonna, oh wow, I jumped right back into the tray. Very, very polite of you there, little bead. I'll just leave you there. Yes. Need two little ones right there. So the little beads are really good for filling in this little pointy tail part here. I think I can get back to the slightly bigger ones now. I think I need to be a little more random with my use of the big and small beads, so let's do that. One small, one big, one small. All right, I think I'm going to fill in the back end of the bird, and then I will go back around to the front. This is just, I'm just really coming at this organically. I'm kind of just doing whatever looks like it makes the most sense at the time. Well, hello, Charlie. Welcome to Stories. Thank you, Ms. Rabbit. We're going to do some chill chat and craft streams here. We're going to talk about crafting stories. I was just saying I've got beads in some of these projects. I've never done any of this before. This is all kind of new to me, which is why it's so fun. It's just kind of a nice little place to hang out with some company and just, I don't know, let our creativity kind of just take the wheel for a bit. There's no pre-thinking here. I just knew that I wanted to try beading a little blue bird. I wanted to try the simple shape of a bluebird. I had some blue beads. That is all I knew going into this. So this is not necessarily turning out the way I had saw in my brain, because I didn't see anything in my brain. And that's kind of the fun. I think a lot of crafting, if I can just wax philosophical here for a moment, I feel like a lot of crafting that we do, like a lot of the other things in our life, suddenly takes on this job mode, professional mode. Like we've got to bring the same kind of seriousness and you know, rigor and structure and framework to our crafting. We have to schedule it in. It's got to follow a certain timetable. There's a strict pattern and sequence of events that we have to follow, and then it will turn out looking the way it's supposed to. I think we because we spend so much of our life in that mindset, you know, doing our jobs, keeping home, looking after family, maintaining relationships. Like there's the same kind of like important structure feeling to all of it. It's kind of hard to take that chunk of your brain and put it aside and then go crafting and just sit down and almost channel that child, the inner child that just would have sat and drew something, played with crayons, colored outside of the lines, drew in the sand, made a sandcastle, knocked it down, and didn't think about it. Like this isn't crafting with a purpose. This is just being creative because why not? It is an outlet. It is a way to let your brain zen out. It's a lovely feeling, and I really wanted to get back to that. I love making things. I love making things. I love doing it with purpose, but I also really like the break of just letting something kind of create itself under my hands. And it is so fun to just sit with a handful of people and watch it come alive. It's delightful, and I like the company. So thank you for being here. Yes, I think we are on the same wavelength, Ms. Rabbit. I want to invite my inner child to the table a little more frequently than I've been lately. I think I've been a little rude. I've neglected it. And it's, you know, clearly there's still room for it to sit at the table. So I think she's well behaved enough that she's not going to like throw food or anything. Getting low on the beads here, or I should say not low on beads, but I'm going to have to knot off and get a new thread going very shortly. This is getting pretty thin, so let's do that. Thank you, Charlie. I think it's true. You have to sort of take some time and remember that you're enjoying what you do. Like, I know that sounds funny, but you have to remember to enjoy it. I am definitely enjoying this process. This is really fun. This is like that excitement I would have as a young person, like a child or a teenager, when I would discover like a new craft, or I would get into, you know, a whole new something or other. It's delightful and exciting again. Really exciting with that whole like I don't know what's going to happen kind of feeling, you know. Also, I have a stash of craft supplies that seems to go on forever. So using them up makes me happy too. This certainly exercises a different part of my brain. Not to mention the dexterity in my fingers. Picking up these tiny little beads is a little challenging. Even though these are really tiny, I'm still only going to do 3 at a time, just so they kind of stay in place where I put them. it's also difficult to like keep yourself, I want to say steady. Like when you see this is now, I feel this is true to a lot of projects. When you start to see the end, you get excited and you speed up. And I feel that a lot of my errors are made close to the end of a project because I start to hurry up out of excitement. Trying not to do that right now. I think one of the reasons that I like the name of the channel being Stories and Stitches is that this is what we do. We weave a story into the thing that we are stitching. It doesn't matter whether it's beading or cross stitch or whatever the actual craft might be. We're weaving a story into it. We're constantly thinking. Our brains never quiet down completely. So there's always a little kind of narrative going on in your head. You're thinking about things. You're thinking about other projects. You're thinking about people. You're thinking about, you know, any random thing that might pop into your head. And maybe, you know, you're thinking about the particular products that you're, like the materials you're using. Maybe you're thinking about when you went and got them. You know, there's always like this, just this little quiet chatter going on in your head. And it's the story, the narrative, partly you and partly the thing that you're making. And it gets woven right into the thing that you're making. And I really like that. I like the thought of that. I think I'm gonna tie this one off, and then I've got one more length of thread I think to go, and I'll have the whole thing beaded up. Just make sure this is really not going to undo itself. Okay, quick little progress check. We've got one last little bit of beading to kind of stick in there. So I think if I don't move much, this looks pretty. A little bit on its chin, like just underneath its cheek. There a little tiny bit more, and then it's completely done. And it's a little bit bright, so there's a little bit of extra light kind of on this, but I will be sure to get a nice clear picture of it a little bit later on, and that will become the thumbnail of the video. And this will be the first predominantly blue beaded applique I've done. Everything else has had a lot of red in it, but that's okay. I'm kind of letting the beads dictate what I do too. I have things that I want to make. I wanted to make the mushroom. I wanted to make the heart. I wanted to make the strawberry. I wanted to make the little bluebird. Now I'd like to make some more complicated things. Jessica Rabbit suggested a cupcake. I'd like to do a cupcake. Maybe something simple like a star. I think I want to do a star. I know some of these seem simple, but the star is like very sharp points. It's got 5 cleft points, and it's got 5 sort of like convex points, 5 concave points. I think that's the right terminology. So that will be a little more challenging. And I still want to do it. But I think I've got enough yellow. So I think, you know, I can do a star. That's something I want to do, and it's also something I've got the beads for. So I don't really care to go buy anything new at the moment. I'm really kind of enjoying using up everything I've got. I've had so many of my beads for so long. Most of these beads I've had since I was a teenager, and some I've had since even before that. And then, you know, I've picked up the odd little pile here and there over the years, but most of my beads are in excess of 30 years old. So it's really gratifying to use them. Yep, maybe that one needs to be slightly different. Let's see if I can undo this. I had luck doing it the last couple times. Haha. So I think I just want one there. Okay. One bead. Huh. Yeah. And just like that, it's done. All right, let's get this knotted off. And then I'm going to trim it up. And since that's the final one, let's make sure that's okay. This can go back in the needle book. Needle back in the needle book, safe and sound. There you go. I'll use that thread a little later on for something else, I'm sure. Okay. So that, yeah. All right, let's get this trimmed. So very careful not to snip my threads. I wonder if it would make more sense to sort of cut it on this side so I can actually see the threads. Smart. And I can trim up any excess if I have to. I almost need, oh, I do have little embroidery scissors. Like I need a couple of really tight-nosed little, oh yeah, I have those. I have those. And I still want to leave something so I can sort of sew it down when I decide whatever this might be going on. There we go. Yeah, it looks good from the front. I'll just trim that little point Actually, no, I'm going to leave that because I might need it for sewing later. And just a little bit up here. Surgical snipping. Oh my goodness. I really like how you alternated the beads. Thank you, Ms. Rabbit. Could you do a bear? Oh, Marlene, a bear. A teddy bear. What a great idea. Blueberry to go with the heart with a hairdo. Yes, that's a good idea. A black and white cat. Charlie, I love that. Bears and cats. Marlene says, now I want to go buy beads and try this. You know what, Marlene? I don't think you need to spend a whole lot of money. I would check the following first. So if you've got a Walmart nearby, check Walmart and check the kids' toys section, because I got the kids' crafts, because it's not always all just plastic beading crafts. Sometimes they have like little, they look like, I don't think I've got it on the table, but you know, tall, slender containers like this, for example, in nice glass beads, little glass beads, and they're only a few bucks usually a container. Our dollar stores in the craft section usually have bead kits that look like this one. That's a bead kit, a really nice one too, with a plastic like sorting container. That all came from the dollar store. So, you know, you shouldn't have to spend a lot of money up front to get into a simple little craft like this. So check dollar store and Walmart first before you head off to Michael's or some expensive craft store, because you don't need, I've been using plastic and glass, nothing fancy. And then felt, you can get felt pieces if you don't have felt already. Dollar store usually has felt too. So check the dollar store crafts. I would, if you've never bought anything like that before, then I would start with the dollar store and with Walmart, because it's not that expensive. If you get in and you do a few and you like it, but then you want to shelve it, you're not out a lot of money. I always like to start, you know, as simply as I possibly can. Like I said, I had all this stuff already in my craft stash. I'm just looking at the back, don't mind me. I'm distracted by my snipping work back here. I had all of this in my craft stash already. I have lots of leftover felt from other projects. I have lots of beads from years and years ago. I've got my needles and threads because I'm always sewing something. So I already had this, and I wanted to try my hand at beading appliques. So that's number 4 now. I've got my little bird. I've got my little heart, which I really, really like the way those both turned out. And then, of course, I've got my strawberry, or the heart with a hairdo, and my mushroom. That was my first attempt. And so far, I'm pretty pleased with all of them. They're all kind of coming together in a cute little way. I think there's a couple of beads that I need to just pin down a little bit better on the bird. This was by far the most complicated shape that I did. So I have a couple beads that kind of want to pop out. Not a big deal. I'm going to take the thread up and then over top and anchor down the thread, which will kind of pin them down a little bit more. So that should stop those beads from wanting to hop out, but that's really not that big a deal. It definitely looks like a bird, and that's what I was going for. So bluebird, check. Mushroom, heart, strawberry, check, check, check. So I've got 4 now little beaded appliques in my collection. I guess I could call it a collection, yeah. I've got a little photo album that I'm keeping them in, so I can kind of go through them, which makes it better for looking at when I want to pull them out. So if I'm thinking, oh, you know what, I've got the perfect beaded applique for that project, it's like a Make-A-Head Stash beaded applique edition. So yeah, so that's number 4. I have no idea what's coming next. I'm gonna have to look through all my beads and kind of figure out how much, like I tend to have a lot of the same color, not a surprise, because you know how you like colors and you're attracted to certain colors. So I tend to, obviously I'm attracted to a certain run of colors, but that shouldn't stop me from trying some other things like a cupcake or a teddy bear or possibly a cat, and maybe a black and white cat. I'm thinking maybe the cat silhouette. That might not be too difficult. I'm still trying to stick to pretty simplistic shapes, but shapes that are obvious when you look at them. You know what a heart is. You know what a star is. I might try a star next, because that's a simple shape, but it's got those points, and I'm really working hard to get better at points. For example, the beak, I was experimenting with those two different shaped beads, but the beak is a tiny little triangle point, sort of, and then of course the tail, and then the little point in the wingtip. So still challenging myself to get better at little techniques, I think. So I think I might try a star next. I think. I'll look back and see what my beads tell me. I'll let the beads do the talking and my inner child make the decision. I think that's fair. Thank you guys so much for spending a little time with me. I hope you had some fun, or at least just were able to zen out for a little while. That is the whole point here. A little crafting with friends, a little zen, and a little, let our inner child and our inner artist just sort of take the wheel for a while. It's a nice feeling. Have a lovely evening. Hopefully we will see you soon here again on Stories and Stitches. And until then, have a lovely afternoon. Stay crafty. Stay creative. And turn your brain off. Turn your brain off. Just let your fingers do something for a little while. Feels good. Anyway, have a lovely rest of your night. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.